when we got the final, or I got the final, yes, you're casted. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? So it started in 2020. My best friend was like, Dee, you should watch this show. You're going to like it. It's called Survivor. I'm like, all right, cool. So I just started like binge watching everything from there on out. And since then I was like, damn, I need to be on this show. Like I knew I was going to be on Survivor before I knew it was going to be on Survivor. I also told myself, okay, how can I get above the noise? Because there's thousands of people that are casting for Survivor, that are auditioning for Survivor. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to post my audition video on Instagram. I'm going to use my resources. And I've built so many like great relationships throughout my life. And they're all going to tag in the comments, directors in the comments. So I did that. I posted my audition video on Instagram, which I do not suggest because I had to like go over a few hurdles there. And that's it. Like the next day I get a call and the casting process has multiple interviews later. And here we are in Fiji.
I took the biggest risk of my life a couple of years ago when I decided to give up admission to Harvard Law School in order to be a full-time singer-songwriter. It was a decision that every single person in my life counseled me against, and still one that I took because I knew that it was the decision that was most accurate to who I was as a person. And so when I started the Survivor casting process, it was something that kind of was in my mind. In the back of it all is like how great of an opportunity this would be to test this risk-taking approach and to have honestly just a big adventure. Like I've dreamed of having an adventure like this since I was a kid. I was the kid who always had like her nose in a book and was just dreaming about fantasy and adventure. And this is a quest that I think a younger version of me would have never believed she got to eventually go on.
I've always wanted to play on Survivor, but for the longest time in my life, I didn't have the confidence in myself to actually apply, let alone think I would get cast and then actually be able to win. So I just remained as a fan of the show. And finally, just very recently, I realized that I'm now at a point in my life where I feel very confident in who I am. And I really feel like, you know what? I can finally say that I'm ready to live out this dream of mine and be on Survivor. And so I applied for the first time in 2020 after watching season 40, Winners at War. And here we are a couple years later in Fiji.
I first applied in like 2020, didn't get a call back, didn't hear anything. And, you know, that to me was like, okay, I got to just level up. I got to do some cool things. I got to just be a better version of myself. So, you know, I did like a 230-mile backpacking trip, got a world record. I went to business school, or I'm in business school now, doing a whole bunch of different things, lived in different places, and just applied again and got a call back, and it's been awesome.
I was watching, I remember season 29 and got to the end of it. And of course, you know, the Jeffism, if you think that you could be on Survivor, apply, you know? And I don't know why, but that particular day, it just jumped up and like snatched me from the shirt. I did. I submitted a tape right then in my truck. When they called me back I was driving again and about to crash my truck. It lined up to be the time for me. And I was a one and done. You know, this is my first time applying. But I've always been a huge fan. My family, I remember us growing up watching, you know, Sari and Rupert and Sandra. Those are household names in my house, you know. It's amazing to be here, to think that I could be one of them is like, it takes the breath out of me.
I think I first got the call back November 2020. I spoke with them. They loved me. It wasn't the year though, and so then we waited another couple of years, and then this year I get the call again. Like they've circled back, they're interested. They take me out, I get wined and dined, and the next thing you know, here I am.
So last year I was like having a rough day, and I was just kind of like at the office working long hours, and I was like, Survivor was on in the background as it always is, and I was like, you know what are you doing? Like, you should just apply. There's literally nothing they're doing that you can't do. And like, honestly, surviving skills is like what I do every day just to like exist in the world. I'm going to just take 3 minutes and record my casting video, and that'll be my gift to myself for the day. Like, at least I did something for me that day. This was a Friday night. They emailed me first thing Monday morning. I talked to one of the casting people. She was like, you haven't applied before? And I was like, no. And she was like, how do you know so much about the show? And I was like, oh, I've binged it for the last 2 years. Like, my Paramount Plus, membership really got its use.
right when Winners at War was about to finish airing, I took that time to make my first application, and I didn't hear back for, the first year. Second year, I got a call in about January, and they were like, hey, we like you, we think you're charming, we think you're pretty cool, but not this year. So we'll talk to you in a few months. And then, after that, a few months later, started going through the process again, and now here I am, and it's really great to be here.
For a little while there, I thought about wow, I wonder if I would want to do it. And I'd see the episodes where they're just sitting in the rain or a bug crawls into someone's ear. And I'm like, yeah, nope, I would never do that. And then I would see episodes where it's just the challenges and Jeff, I love Jeff so much. And Tribal is like a counseling session. And I'm just like, I literally just took a 30-second video on my phone, just sitting in my home office, and was like, I think I should be on Survivor and here's why. And I sent it to them. And that was in August. Because I took a screenshot of me wearing my Jeff Probst t-shirt, because I have a Jeff Probst t-shirt because I love him. And then in November, someone from casting emailed me, and I was teaching a college class, and I remember seeing that email come up while I'm teaching this course on psychological distress and disorders, and I'm like, I'm sorry, students, I need to, and I went to the bathroom and responded to the email and was like, yes, I'm interested. And they told me to send a 3-minute video. And so I got in my car right after class ended and just took a 3-minute video. And I realized halfway through I was wearing Invisalign, and I was like, sorry, let me take my Invisalign out. And that the casting person was like, that's when I knew you'd be perfect. When we got the final, or I got the final, yes, you're casted. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? And so now I'm sitting sweating my ass off in Fiji. So that's my story.
I applied for the first time in my life in the beginning of December 2022. Ripped an application video because I was really angry that morning after watching, I think it was Mike Gabler win, and I decided that was not okay in my book. So I was like, I should apply. I can do this. So I ripped a quick 2-minute video, sent it in, and I heard back the same day, filled out the full application. And then I took a month off to go to Malaysia to visit my sister, came back to about a dozen phone calls from the casting director. Ended up here where I am now. It's mid-April, so a very expedient process on my end.
I was supposed to talk to Jeff 15 minutes after the premiere of the season, and they found out I was having a gathering because I thought I was done. I thought that was it. I had a big party, a bunch of people were there. We had a great time, but I was supposed to speak to Jeff 15 minutes afterwards, and then they found out Bruce is having a party, so they scrapped that and they said, no, we'll talk on Thursday after all my press. So I'm like, no, I'll do it. It's fine. Whatever Jeff wants, I'll do. And I still, at that point in time, had no idea. And they're like, nope, we'll see you. We'll talk to you Thursday. And I got the news that night while laying in bed with the wife. I got the news then. Everybody else that listened to the podcast knew about it but me.
I saw my first episode in 2015 when it was Second Chance Cambodia. But at that time, I just started law school. So I was 40 years old, just started law school and raising kids. So I was a single mom. So I couldn't apply yet. Needed to take care of some things. It was once I felt like my kids were taken care of. It was over 3 years ago. And I said, I'm doing this. I still remember getting an email saying, hey, got your application, forever later. And, if you're interested, still need some stuff. Since then, I've just been applying because I got a nibble. And that was enough for me. So that's been my casting process. I didn't quit. And even when I get a kind of a no, I'd be like, this is Second Chance Julie. I started with Second Chance Survivor. I am not quitting. So that's kind of how I got here.
In the beginning, you put your video out there and you get this phone call. You're being considered for Survivor. We're going to run you through the process. So I'm going through all these, sending in pictures and meeting with producers and all these people. And it was a pleasant process, but it was tough because, I had to believe in myself and I had to really dig deep and find out more about myself, which is, I learned way more about myself through this process, digging down into, the emotional stuff and the physical stuff, having to really work out more and starving, and not eating because you're going to be on a freaking island and maybe having to do different vertical things for the physical. This whole thing has been mind blowing, just to wrap it all up.
Basically, last June, I came home from work, was like, okay, I'm gonna put something on to fall asleep to. And I was like, oh, Survivor's on Netflix. Haven't watched that in a while. I'm laying there and I'm wide awake, have watched the entire season. It was I could win this show. The next day, I am like, I'm applying, I apply, and then I have this trip coming up. I'm going to Europe for my 30th birthday. I'm going to walk 300 miles across Spain by myself. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. I get Wi-Fi, and I see that I have an email. It's like, hey, give me a call when you get a chance. I start freaking out in the storm room. Like, everyone's sleeping. We've been walking all day. And I like run outside as far away from the building as I can with my cell phone to make this phone call. I'm like, hi, it's Kendra. Sorry, I'm whispering. You called me about Survivor. And then proceeded to take interviews throughout walking the Camino de Santiago while staying at hostels. The casting process has been amazing and exciting and so crazy. It takes a lot of patience to get here.
I started off by watching season 41. We have a Canadian winner. Season 42, we have a Canadian winner. And what do they do in season 42? They don't even put a Canadian on the cast. I was so just morally upset. I was like, where's the spirit of sports, right? So that's when I knew I wanted to get on. First try, threw the video in. Next day, got a call back. And I knew once I got the call back, I'd be good. Did the first finals process in October. Hammered through that, basically was like, listen, you guys, I'm going to Portugal if you don't tell me I'm on this thing. So tell me what's going on. They're like, we can't tell you yet, but it's looking good. Wait until the beginning of the year before you book anything. Then I came to LA. They cut my interview off in like 10 minutes. They're like, who was the hardest person to interview with? I was like, none of you guys. This is so much fun. And and then I got on first try.
I sent in a couple of videos when I was in undergrad. Then after undergrad, I went straight into law school. And when I was in law school, I didn't send anything in. Law school is obviously very difficult. And over the course of law school, I managed to lose 80 pounds, developed an entirely healthier lifestyle. And this was the first video I sent in after law school. And I didn't even start my new job when I got the call from them. I made the video and said, yep, I'm an attorney. I'm all good. I didn't even know if I passed the bar yet. I was hoping, I had like my fingers crossed just in case, hedging my bets a little bit. Yes, I got the call. Like before I even started my real job as an attorney, I was working as a law clerk. When I got the call, I was going to start my new job in like a week. And then, I got more calls and now I'm here.
I actually started watching the show really for the first time during the pandemic, and I was working as a COVID nurse in New York City. So that was really, the most challenging thing I've ever had to do in my life. Pretty much since then, I've been obsessed with it, and I've watched like almost every season in the span of 2 years. So it's like the speed is a little crazy. And, after going through something so like life-changing and scary, I just realized that I have a lot more like resilience and grit. And, I don't want to let anything hold me back after I've, seen, really difficult things. Like life is really short and I just wanted to go for it. And I had this thought, I was watching this show that I loved and I was like, well, why don't I just try? I tossed my hat in the ring kind of late last year in January 2022. I got a call from casting and they were like, we love you, but you're super late for season 43 and 44. And so I had to wait quite a long time. But yeah, I'm here now. So I'm really, really appreciative to be here and I'm super excited.
I have been sending in videos for Survivor from the age of, I believe, 11. I saw my first episode in September of 2008. I watched Gabon and I knew instantly I needed to do this in some capacity. So I started my journey then. I went many years without calls, obviously, because putting an 11-year-old out here is probably not the most ideal thing for legal. Once I turned 18, I still sent in videos every year, didn't hear anything, heard something in September of 2021, did the whole process, was very close to being on Survivor 44. Ultimately, that did not work out. I was, still very hopeful that this would happen for me. And in August of 2022, I got a phone call from the casting team saying, hey, you want to try this again? And I said, I will do this every year until I'm dead or you put me on this thing. And we're here. So it worked out.